Hello, everybody, and welcome to day one of our challenge. I'm so happy to be here with you guys, and I'm excited to see who's hopping on live with us. Welcome. I'm a little bit late. I apologize. I had another call just before this one, so I had to quickly hop off to get on here. But here we are now for day one of the 3-day challenge. So, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to be opening up my Facebook group because sometimes I don't see the comments here on my screen. And that also allows us to give people time to hop on and to say hi in the comments. So whoever is coming on live, please say hi in the comments. Let me know that you're here. Let me know that you're here with us to learn all about gut health and nutrition for Hashimoto's health during this 3-day challenge. I know Janelle is going to be here with us tonight as well. So for everybody, Janelle is going to be your go-to person whenever you are in need of your workbook or your recipe, your meal guide, or if you have any questions, Janelle is the one who can help you out. She is here in the comments with us tonight, and she can help you whenever you have any sort of questions. Other than that, I welcome everybody in, and we go right ahead and get started with day one. But first of all, I would like to ask you to introduce yourself, to say hi in the comments. Let me know where you're tuning in from, and what you are most excited about to learn during this challenge. Especially day one, gut health is always a very good topic to start with because honestly, gut health is one of the most important root causes that are also the easiest actually to address in order to turn around the inflammation. And we're going to talk about that a little bit tonight. So before we get started, I want you all to pull out your workbook. So I have sent all of you guys your workbook. We will be going through it a little bit, and you can use that as a guide. And then we can also, you can ask me questions, of course. And then the recipe guide that I send you is, give me 1 second. I'm just getting messages here. Okay, going live now. Okay, perfect. And the recipe guide is really complimentary for you guys. I have created a lot of variety in the recipes because that is something that we are going to be talking about here tonight, right? For those of you who have been following me for a while, you know that I'm a big, huge fan of diversifying diet versus eliminating diet. And there's always a reason to it. And we'll talk about that tonight. But first of all, I want to say thank you for your time tonight, for taking your time out of this busy schedule. And I hope that you guys have been enjoying the spring weather. It has been really nice here in Ontario. So I can't complain. I'm happy to see that the snow is finally gone. So I do want to be mindful of your time throughout the 3 days, and I will try to keep those sessions under an hour. Although sometimes that is a little bit tricky for me because sometimes I do go off on a little bit of a tangent. But oftentimes, what I find is that people are getting breakthroughs when I get through these tangents, and so I'm happy when that happens at the same time. But let's just try to stay on time because I know that you guys are tired. You had a long day and you want to learn, but the focus is oftentimes a little bit less by the end of the day. So I understand that. So before we get into the material, I just want to set a few guidelines here. And I want to get you really excited about what's to come. Okay. So this challenge has been created for you to get some motivation, for you to get some hope, for you to get some understanding of some root causes that can lead you to feel all the symptoms that you're feeling, even though you are on medication, even though your doctor tells you that everything should be fine, but you're still not feeling it. Even though you have taken gluten and dairy out of your diet, you're still not feeling it. There's a lot you can do. There's a lot of reasons as to why that is. And we are going to be talking about some of them tonight. And so I'm really excited for this, and I want you to get excited about it too. Okay, so if you are excited, give me the hands up. I'm here to hear it all. Okay, so this challenge is really back and forth. I'm here to give my all, and I would love for you to give your all too. And yeah, just enjoy it, and get the information, immerse yourself in this environment. Okay. Honestly, this challenge, I've been running it a few times, many times in the past, and it's honestly hands down one of the most valued events that I have run because it does deliver a lot of breakthroughs and clarity for a lot of women. It creates support and it creates motivation, just like I said. But like I said, also, it only does for you if you commit and if you engage. Okay, so engagement is really key here. And that's really why you signed up for it, right? So you want to get the most out of it. This challenge is not just a dry webinar. Maybe you have attended some of those webinars before where you are being guided through a slideshow with kind of like surface level information. This is not what's going to happen tonight, okay? And in the next 3 days. This challenge is a 3-day event, okay? And so this event consists of 3 full-fledged masterclasses to the level of what I really teach inside my programs as well, okay? So my goal here is to really get you fired up for a life that is enjoyable for you because you feel as if you are in the middle of it, right? So it's not just passing you by. You don't feel just like a bystander, feeling stuck in your fatigue, your brain fog, your joint pain, your anxiety, and other random symptoms. I want you to be fully in control and aware of your life, right? So let me know in the comments if this is what you're excited about, okay? If this is what you're looking for to get the information that you need to get from point A to point B, or sometimes I like to refer it as to trying to climb a mountain without having the right tools can be really, really difficult. But as soon as you're filling your toolkit and get the tools that you need in order to climb that mountain, it still takes some time, but you make steady progress. And so this is what it's all about. Okay, it's not just a quick fix band-aid solution that we're talking about here in these sessions. It's going to be a little bit of a deeper informational session. Let me just see if I have anybody who is live with me. I just want to quickly introduce myself. For those of you who are new here, actually, there has been a few new people coming into this group, which I'm really, really happy about. Okay, I see Kimberly is on. Hello, Kimberly. It's always good to see you. Give me 1 second. Just going to go here, and then I see who is on here. Okay, I see there's 5 people watching us. So let me know who's here. Let me know how you guys are doing, what you're excited about. Janelle is here, Maggie's here, Kayla is here. Hello, everybody. It's good to see you. Yes. Okay, wonderful. So Janelle is here. If you have any questions, ask her. She'll be able to respond to you very quickly. My name is Cordula. I'm living in Ontario, in Canada, close to Toronto, just north of Toronto, but I'm originally from Germany. So I'm from Germany. I was born and raised in Germany, and I came to Canada when I was 27, and have made Canada my home. I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's about 15-ish years ago, when my girls were really little. So I guess it's about 14 years ago because they're now 16 and 14. I have 2 girls, 2 teens. I have a puppy. She's 3. Her name is Bella, and I have 2 cats. Stripes and Juliet, and that's our little family. I was diagnosed like 14-ish years ago because I was in a place where my body was literally breaking down on me, and I was told that I just have to get on some thyroid medication and everything will be okay. And if I have any more symptoms, then there's nothing you can do about it. And generally speaking, there's nothing you can do about it. with the inflammation, the Hashimoto's, just take the medication because nutrition and food make no difference. And so that is what I did, but I didn't feel any better. In fact, I was actually feeling worse and worse and worse, to a point where my hair was falling out in clumps. I felt like a zombie. I couldn't function. I would say I needed a nap every 2 hours. So I was napping when my girls were napping, and I constantly felt as if I had brain fog, but also I felt very groggy. So very groggy, like very as if I was living in a haze, that kind of feeling. And of course, my whole body was hurting. So, anyways, I said to myself, this is not the life that I want for myself. And so I started to look a little bit deeper into what one can do in order to get out of Hashimoto's. And I ended up in nutrition school. And that is when I had so many aha moments. And basically, throughout my nutrition school education, I started to slowly heal my body. And I was amazed to see how much is possible. And this is what I'm here to teach you guys now. Okay. This 3-day challenge is really reconnecting with the root causes and the main area of focus in your body, which, when addressed consistently and also in the right way, will not only give you some relief or a lot of relief, but it will also set you up for a road to recovery and even remission, if you want to go that far. Right? So please, in the comments, say yes if that is what you really want for yourself as well, because I know that's what I wanted for myself. Kayla is excited to learn more about Hashimoto's. She was just diagnosed last week. Okay, all right. So that is another question I have. How many of you guys in here have been living with it for some time? And how many were just diagnosed? Okay. Yeah, so Kayla, you're really just starting your journey. So I'm really happy that you made it here because you will learn so much. Okay, so let's get started. Let me see my notes. Okay. So the reason why I see women get stuck in their Hashimoto's health journey is because this world is chock full of quick fix solutions that we are either being told are out there and we just have to find it, or that we have been taught throughout our lives that there is a pill for every ill. So we are looking for this one solution to our Hashimoto's health that will change things around for us. But the problem with that is that it doesn't exist. There is no such thing as a one solution to get healthy with Hashimoto's. It is a complex series of steps and events that have to happen in order to rebalance the body. But it doesn't have to be complicated. I always say that. It might be complex, but it's not complicated. And so we just have to persevere, and we have to put the right steps in the right order in action in order to see relief. And that is what we're going to be talking about today, with the first pillar of those pieces that come together, and that is the gut health connection to thyroid and Hashimoto's, the underlying inflammation. And just one more thing I wanted to say before we get started with the material is I just wanted to give you a quick overview of how the challenge is going down for you guys. So to entice you guys to do the work, so I go live every day at 8 p.m., Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. We're going to be covering a topic. And then there's going to be homework that's going to be posted for you guys right after the video. So I want you to watch the video either live or on the replays. Go to the homework thread and put in the homework that I asked you to complete. There's going to be an engagement price. And that engagement price is a $50 grocery card for Whole Foods or a grocery store of your choice. So every day homework thread, you will have to complete the homework and post it under the homework. go see the videos live, and then comment as much as you can and engage as much as you can in order to qualify for the $50 Whole Foods gift card. Okay. And then by the end of the challenge, I also have a bigger prize that I'm going to be revealing then, which is really exciting. In addition to the homework piece and the watching the video piece, there is, with this challenge comes a 30-minute free consultation with me. Okay, so I have made room in my calendar for everybody of you guys. We have 30 women signed up for this challenge. I have made room for everybody of you to hop on a 30-minute consultation call that is for free during this challenge only, to see which parts of the information are really relevant to you and to give you a little bit more of an individual insight on what you can do specifically. Okay, so if you want to book in such a call, please reach out to Janelle and she can set you up with the calendar link. Or maybe Janelle, you can even plop the calendar link here into the comments for anybody if they want if anybody wants to have a copy of that. Okay, perfect. All right, so let's get started. So before we get into the nitty-gritty of the gut health, I want to review autoimmune from a 30,000-foot overview. Okay, so it's really important to zoom out to get a bigger picture of what's happening so that everything that follows makes sense. This is especially important for those of you guys who are just diagnosed, okay? So more and more women are really being inflicted with an autoimmune disease these days, a chronic inflammatory disease, because of so many different factors. I don't want to go into all of the details as to why that is, but the statistics say more and more women are inflicted with also with Hashimoto's. And the sad part is that the conventional medicine system is really not being taught to deal with chronic disease that much. That is not something that they learn in medical school. And then this is what we then at the back end of it are feeling, because we're not feeling supported. It's almost as if we're being left very much alone with this, and we have no support. And that is why I'm doing this, so that you get some more support and insight on what's happening. Conventional medicine it's simply not equipped to help us conquer this kind of systemic inflammation. Okay, so I want you to notice the key word here, which is systemic, right? So you might feel that your thyroid is failing you, or your conventional medicine doctor is telling you that it's your thyroid's fault, and you start to zone in on thyroid foods and foods, what not to eat and what to eat and all of that. However, the emphasis has to be on our immune system, because it's an autoimmune and inflammatory chronic disease that affects your thyroid. Your thyroid has been the weakest part in your body to begin with, for whatever reason. It could have been maybe your joints, then you would have been diagnosed with rheumatoid arthritis. For you, it's the thyroid. For me, it's the thyroid. So our immune system has gone haywire, and it's starting to break down the gland tissues and the cells of that gland, right? And the function of that gland, really, that is affected by the inflammation. So I want you just to notice that it's and know that one of the root causes is an overall inflammatory response in your body that is systemic. Okay. So some people say, well, let's just take out the thyroid and the symptoms go away, right? A lot of women, believe it or not, are being told, if the thyroid is starting to give up, that, well, just take the thyroid out and then everything will be okay. But is that really solving the problem? I'm asking you. Is it really solving the problem? No, it's not, because inflammation will show up in the body anywhere else, somewhere else, that is the next weakest link in the body, right? So does that make sense? It's not necessarily just a thyroid issue. Yes, we do have to support our thyroid for sure, to support it and make it function better, but we also need to address overall systemic inflammation. Okay, so really, really important to understand that from a 30,000-foot perspective. Just so that we can find solutions, so that we know where to dig in order to find out where it's coming from, right? So supporting those areas locally, the thyroid, with a focused approach is definitely helpful, but the real recovery is helping, is really just helping your immune system to regain its sharpness. It has definitely lost the ability to differ between friend and foe, and this includes your thyroid gland for sure. So let's talk about, let's move into the number one root cause trigger to systemic inflammation, right? So which is the gut. It's the gut. So that was like an eye opener for me in nutrition school, that the gut has such a huge impact on my thyroid gland. I couldn't really understand how that comes together, and I just really want to give you that clarity. So remember what I just said. Your immune system has lost the sharpness of differentiating between friend and foe. And that also includes foods. Okay, so a lot of you guys, and let me know in the comments if that's you, a lot of you guys are experiencing digestive issues, right? I have never drawn that connection between my thyroid health, inflammation, chronic inflammation, and my bloating and gas that I was experiencing. Let me know in the comments if you have digestive issues. So when we are experiencing gut imbalances, we are experiencing them in form of food sensitivities and reactions. Okay, and so then what you typically follows next? Yes, bloating, says Kayla. Right. So what typically follows next is that we are doing our research, and then we are being told, or we have read, or we believe that we have to cut out certain inflammatory foods for the rest of our lives. And that is a lot of foods that we are being told to cut out of our diets. Is that something that you have experienced? Let me know. So we are being told, or we, read that this is really the most important thing to do. First thing is to get better with Hashimoto's, to cut out a whole slew of different food groups, right? So gluten, dairy, nightshades, legumes, grains, sometimes even nuts, all of these things. Okay, or maybe you have done a food sensitivity test before, and that came back flagging not just gluten, dairy, and eggs, but also a vast variety of vegetables and fruit. And then you're ending up cutting out all of these foods as well because you're reacting to it, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, what even can I eat anymore with my Hashimoto's? And you're thinking it's my Hashimoto's is causing that, and so now I need to stay away from it in order to heal my Hashimoto's, right? So now all of a sudden, all of these foods are bad for you, or so you think, or is it maybe just your immune system that has lost its edge, right? Maybe it's your immune system that has lost its edge. So the biggest part of your immune system actually sits inside your gut. Your gut houses a huge part of your immune system, and that's what we're going to be talking about now. And this is when I want you to take out your workbook, and I want you to start taking notes, because we're going to go through those two parts of your gut health journey. Okay? So if you truly really want to get into a state of energy and remission, you need to bring down the inflammatory response in your body. Number one. Okay, so remember what I said, 30,000-foot perspective, systemic inflammation, it sits in different areas. One of the biggest area is your gut. And the most straightforward approach that brings you the best bang for your buck is starting with your gut health. And I'll tell you how and why. There are two components to your immune system inside your gut. Okay? And that keeps your immune system well running, and that keeps you healthy and thriving. Number one is the gut lining. Okay? So the intestinal lining that separates the inside of your intestine from the bloodstream. Okay? So there is a gut lining in the tube, that's your digestive tract. And the important thing to know is that it is only one cellular layer thick. It's a very thin intestinal lining, and that is for a reason. And that reason is absorption. So it has to be thin because it's absorbing a lot of things. But at the same time, the size of this gut lining is massive. So if you were to spread it out, and if you were to take all of those cells in your intestinal line and in your digestive tract and spread it out, you could cover an entire tennis court. It is huge, right? And so we want to make sure that we're keeping this gut lining in a really good place, because if the gut lining is starting to become inflamed, that can cause a lot of issues because it's so large in size. It can be damaged in so many different places. And not only is it important for absorption, which we'll talk a little bit more in a second, but along those cells of your gut lining, that is where your body has stationed thousands and thousands of immune cells. So they're like immune cells, or they're sitting in on along the gut lining, like T helper cells and mast cells and macrophages. It's almost like a whole army to keep you safe, right? So what is their job? Their job is to constantly survey what is happening along the gut lining, because they know that they are the ones who are either allowing molecules in, including food particles, to enter the bloodstream for nourishment, or to keep them out. So they're basically the bouncers of the gut lining or the absorption, right? So I just want you to keep that in mind as we're going through this, okay? You also have like almost like little microvilli. So like little finger-like protrusions that float inside the intestinal tract to even increase the surface space for the absorption. So why am I sharing this with you? Because I'm about to share with you what is causing your gut to break down and what is causing you to start having food intolerances and a whole slew of digestive issues that can really lead to symptoms. And we need to understand these two things that are really important for our health. So the breakdown of those finger-like projections, the microvilli, has been shown to be very prominent in us with an autoimmune disease, with Hashimoto's, okay? So when you think about all those finger-like projections that are protruding out of the gut lining that help absorption, there's so many, it's almost like a carpet that help absorb nutrients. It's an integral part of your absorption of nutrients. It has been shown that us with autoimmune disease, Hashimoto's, those microvilli are oftentimes stunted because of inflammation. So what does that mean for us? That means that our nutrient absorption is suboptimal. That means that we're losing nutrients, that we are not getting all the nutrients that we need from our foods because of that fact alone, right? So we are oftentimes very much nutrient deficient when we are dealing with Hashimoto's. And that is one of the reasons why. We're oftentimes very nutrient deficient. So this should be a huge aha moment for you, because for those of you who believe that they're eating really well and they still feel sluggish and they still have symptoms and joint pain and bloating and gas and all of these things, they have no energy. That is oftentimes because your absorption is stunted, right? Your body has become nutrient deficient regardless of how well you eat, right? And so, and I will just quickly say here too is that, sometimes you hear that there's a really high prevalence in Hashimoto's women to also have celiac disease or vice versa. And that is one of the reasons why. So celiac people have those finger-like protrusions are almost non-existent. They have that's one of their biggest issues that they're having. So this is the number one thing I wanted to mention here, is really the microvilli. The other thing is, when you think about when you think about the immune system that is stationed along the gut lining and how it is really guarding what comes in and what goes out, when the gut lining, the intestinal lining, has become damaged because of inflammation, because of constipation, because of bacterial overgrowth, maybe there's so many reasons as to why that is. And see, this is where the puzzle pieces come together. It can be different for everybody, but I'll say that everybody with Hashimoto's does have a certain level of the gut dysbiosis and the issue with the intestinal permeability, right? The issue with the gut lining. When the inflammation is starting to pop up on the gut lining, the immune system has lost its edge in order to determine which particles to allow in and which particles to block off. So sometimes when particles are not fully digested and they get into the bloodstream, then your immune system is responding in a way and saying and asking, my goodness, what is this that is coming into my body? It looks like a tomato, but it really isn't. And so it's starting to cause a little bit of a inflammatory response because of that. Now, here's the question. Is it the food that is inflammatory, or is it really your digestive system and your immune system in combination that has lost its edge, right? So does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if that resonates with you, if that kind of like gives you an aha moment of, oh my goodness, I wasn't really aware of that interconnection, and now I'm understanding a little bit more about how the food intolerances and how all of that come into play. So now in your workbook, I want you to fill in the blanks, okay? There are some blanks you can fill in. To summarize, so leaky gut is not a diagnosis. So leaky gut is when we're talking about the food particles that are coming into the bloodstream that are not fully digested and that are not blocked out by your immune cells stationed along the gut lining because they have lost its edge. Leaky gut is not a diagnosis, it's a symptom. It's a symptom of inflammation. It's a condition in which protein junctions of the cell lining inside of the small intestine become loose, and then they allow larger molecules to enter the bloodstream. Right? So to create a long-lasting gut environment that is healthy and that is resilient, you really have to break the vicious cycle of inflammation triggering. So you have to dig a little bit deeper, understand where is the inflammation coming from versus just taking out foods in order to put a band-aid on it. Does that make sense? So take a look at the root cause cycle of inflammation on the second page, I believe it is in your workbook, in your gut that can cause leaky gut. There's a lot of triggers that can cause gut inflammation, right? So, for example, that can include processed food consumption, but that can also include factors like stress and trauma. That can include gut infections or viral infections. That can include toxin exposure. Antibiotics is a big one. So if you have been on antibiotics for a longer period of time, anywhere within the past 5 years, your gut microbiome has and your gut lining has taken a beating. Okay, so let me know if you are one of the ones that have been on antibiotics. Another thing is low stomach acid. Low stomach acid is one of the biggest triggers that I see for gut imbalances. So there's a whole array of different triggers that you can experience. But what I want you to take away from this is that everyone with an autoimmune disease has intestinal permeability to a certain extent. I can honestly say that with full confidence, that I have not seen one person yet that had absolutely no issues with their gut health when it comes to Hashimoto's. And as soon as we start working on gut health, things are starting to align slowly. It's just like one of the tools that women are putting into their toolkit in order to climb that mountain of inflammation, or getting rid of that inflammation, getting over the inflammation, right? The other good news, yeah, so Kayla is taking an antibiotic. So yes, that is yeah. So I don't want to go into detail here, but you know what? I'll message you after, Kayla, because antibiotics is it's almost like they wipe out a good amount of your gut bacteria, which we'll be talking about in a second here, anyways. Mm. But the good news is that your gut lining is regenerating fast and quick. It can regenerate itself every 5 to 7 days, right? So think about the impact that you can have on supporting your immune system by being able to help rejuvenate your gut, right? I mean, that was like an eye-opening experience, to just know that this is even possible. So give me 1 second here. I just need to have I just have to get my notes back because I don't want to lose track where I was here. Okay, perfect. Okay. So, but you are thinking, so you might be thinking, okay, I understand that I can really make such a big impact on my gut lining, and it's such a quick turnaround. But why is it not like why is it not working so fast? Why is it that I can't bring my gut health or turn my gut health around so quickly? Right? Because if you say that your gut health is like is really rejuvenating every 5 to 7 days, like what are the roadblocks that are preventing me from having my gut replaced or my gut in a good place quickly after that? Well, the problem with that is that it is number one, it's a high traffic environment, right? So it's a high traffic environment that has been created to heal very quickly if given the right nutrients. So you do have a huge impact on it, but the problem is the epithelial gut lining heals fast, but it still takes some time because the epithelial lining, so the gut lining of the gut, does need how can I say that? In the leaky gut, the tight junctions between the epithelial cells become weakened, okay? So allowing harmful substances to pass through the gut lining. And this can really trigger inflammation in the gut and surrounding issues. So what that means is that in order to heal this inflammation, so there can be a lot of underlying inflammation happening, right? So even though you're bringing in the good nutrients in order to help heal the gut lining, um, it takes time because there is a lot of inflammation surrounding these tissues. And in order to heal this inflammation, we need almost like therapeutic nutrients that we don't get when we cut out foods. So those nutrients include vitamin A, vitamin E, vitamin C in abundance, and then also omega-3 and zinc, and that's just for starters. Okay, so because of the chronic inflammation in the gut that can persist, this is why it can take some more time. And we also need to consider that sometimes there's a lot of gut infections that are happening, right? So there can be candida overgrowth, there can be bacterial overgrowth, and the immune system could also be in a state of hyperactivity. It can be attacking healthy tissues as it really tries to deal with the ongoing damage of the pathogens, right? So there's a lot going on, and that's why it really takes some time to create the balance of the gut lining over time. But just know that it heals every regenerates every 5 to 7 days. So you always get that window of healing nutrients that you can bring in and address in order to bring that gut back into balance. Another big player here is the gut's microbiome. Okay, so the community of bacteria and other microorganisms that are actually living in a gut, they play a major role, right? And that is the second part of the gut health picture. So we have the gut lining, we have the microvilli that play a big role in activating the immune system by letting in food particles that might be triggering inflammation, but also the microvilli that are being stunted and don't really absorb the nutrients as much. That is one part. But then there is the other part to it, which is the gut's microbiome, which plays a significant, crazy role in maintaining the gut lining's integrity. Let me know in the comments if you have ever heard about the importance of gut microbiome before when it comes to Hashimoto's. And if not, that's okay. And if you have, that is great. Just let me know. Kayla says, crazy, I never knew. Exactly. So it's really, really insightful to get these connections so that you understand what is triggering it. So the dysbiosis, which is the imbalance in the gut microbiome, is oftentimes present in leaky gut. Okay, and it can really perpetuate the symptoms. So gut bacteria, everybody has trillions of gut bacteria in their gut, and they are, one part of them is they are very healthy and very good bacteria that are really health promoting, and the other part of your gut microbiome are the pathogenic bacteria that are causing a little bit of inflammation here and there. But if they're being kept in check with your good bacteria, there's nothing to worry about. But the antibiotics, for example, for everybody who was on antibiotics like Kayla, the antibiotics are not just going after the bad bacteria or the pathogenic ones. They are also wiping out the good bacteria in our gut, leaving a huge deficit in our gut microbiome. And it is also part and present in leaky gut. So an imbalance in gut bacteria can absolutely delay your healing because some of the pathogens or the harmful microbes may continue to disrupt the gut barrier, right? So now you have that situation where the pathogenic gut bacteria, the imbalance of them can actually cause further damage to your gut lining, right? While the beneficial microbes may be insufficient. And that just keeps you in the loop of gut inflammation, gut issues such as bloating and gas and stomach pains and all of these things, and also constipation and things like that, which can then in turn like really increase systemic inflammation, and that can hurt your thyroid function, right? So in your workbook, there is a second part to day one, which is your gut microbiome. Okay. So to summarize, I want to summarize. So while the gut lining cells themselves, while they regenerate very, very quickly, the complete healing of the gut lining and the restoration of its function, can take time, because full recovery often requires the restoration of the junctions between those cells, right? And that means you have to bring in healing nutrients, and you have to bring in, and you have to balance your gut's ecosystem, which is your gut bacteria, which will then decrease the immune response. Okay. So, okay, that was a lot of info right now. And if you have any questions, or if you have any need for further clarification, please feel free to book in your consultation call, which is free during this challenge. Okay, so again, I have made room in the calendar to have free consultations with every single one of you if you want to, and we can really figure out like where your inflammation sits in your gut in terms of symptoms. And there is therapeutic nutrients that you can bring in order not to just help support your gut lining, but also your microbiome. Okay. So Janelle, I don't know if you have put the link to the call in the comments, but if you can do that, it'd be great. So fill in the blanks. Okay, in your workbook, fill in the blanks. The second area of focus is your gut microbiome. Okay, so we talked about the gut lining and the absorption of the small intestine. And now we talked about the gut microbiome, because it is absolutely fascinating to me, and it really still is in its infancy. There's so much stuff that comes out on how it actually, how our gut microbes are communicating with our brain, and they actually they're spewing out metabolites when they're communicating with one another. That is actually, they're actually hormones that can help trigger certain functions in the body. So it sounds really futuristic, but there is a lot of value to it. So there's a lot of value in having a very balanced gut microbiome, because when you think about it, 90% of your gut, like we're talking about your colon, is microbes, bacteria, yeast, and fungi. And only 10% is of human DNA, right? This is really incredible, right? So all of those microbes, they have multiple tasks and beneficial bacteria for you. They interact with our brain, our thyroid gland, and all of that. So it's really, really important to keep our gut microbiome in a really good place. And I just wanted to quickly also share a fun fact for you. Did you actually know that 80% of or more of our bowel movements are actually bacteria? So everything that you're pooping out, the waste, is a little bit of fiber and all of that, but it's mostly bacteria, right? So this is really important to understand and to know that we are actually detoxifying our body on a daily basis, just by going to the bathroom and pooping out 80% of bacteria, and mostly pathogenic bacteria that our body doesn't need anymore. And that is really, really incredible. So I really want you to keep that. And so keep in mind when you're constipated and you can't go to the bathroom, all of this is staying inside your body, and you are basically clogging one of your main detoxification pathways, and it's not open. But this is something that we're going to be talking about tomorrow, right? So just really, really good to know. So there's certain nutrients that I want to get into that actually feed your good host bacteria. Okay, so you can take a note of these, such as fermented foods and prebiotic fibers. You need nutrients that clean your bowels, right? That almost like scrape like along the gut lining in order to keep the bowels clean, such as insoluble fiber. So the roughage of kale and broccoli and other greens, for example. And you need nutrients that heal the inflammation, right? So we're talking about healthy fats and lots of phytonutrients. So these are really important nutrients that you can utilize in order to keep your microbiome happy, okay? So you can fill in the blanks in your workbook. The three main root causes of an imbalanced gut microbiome are: number one, processed foods and antibiotic use. Huge triggers. Another one is consistent lack of prebiotic and probiotic foods in your diet. And stress and gut infections are also one of the biggest root causes to an imbalanced gut, and that might have been going on for too long. Okay, so, and I want you to notice like how many of the root cause triggers are similar between the leaky gut syndrome and the dysbiosis, right? So there's a lot of overlap here in those two imbalances, but which might be detrimental, you think. But for me, I think that is really good news, because this will give you something to work with. This will really allow you to hone in on specific areas and utilize nutrients that are actually helping both your gut lining, your absorption, and your gut microbiome. So really, really good to know that. So now that we have a really good understanding of the first major root cause issue that is truly keeping you stuck in fatigue and brain fog and Hashimoto symptoms, let's just see what we can do about it. I hope that so far I have painted the picture pretty vividly about the imbalances that can really occur within the digestive system that can create a lot of systemic inflammation. And the systemic inflammation is triggering inflammation in your thyroid, in your detoxification pathways, in your adrenal health, everywhere in your body, because it's systemic. And so really honing in on this one root cause can leave you with a lot of symptom relief, because you're actually tackling systemic inflammation. Okay, so now let's see what we can do about it. Okay, so you can start to take notes if you like. Are you ready? Let me know if you're ready to take notes about what you can actually do, how you can actually build your toolkit. So the biggest goal long term is always being able to include as many nutrients as possible, right? So you actually want to do the exact opposite of what everyone else is telling you when it comes to cutting down all of the foods for life. Okay, so remember what I told you, and remember what I said about nutrient deficiencies, how we are so prone to be nutrient deficient because of our gut imbalances. So if you're doing this, if you are consistently following a very restrictive diet for a very long time, you are basically undernourishing every cell in your body because your absorption is low to begin with, right? It's low to begin with because of the imbalances that you're experiencing that I talked about. So you're depriving your immune system of nutrients, of nutritional needs, and it can rebuild healthy cells. It can rebuild a healthy gut lining. It's depriving your gut microbiome of nutrients to regain balance, such as legumes and grains that are oftentimes being cut out because they cause a lot of gas, a lot of bloating, and things like that. So the biggest takeaway I want you to get here is that you need to think about diversifying your therapeutic intake of foods. There is one caveat, and that is gluten. Okay. So the gluten topic is a huge topic in itself, and it does make sense to remove gluten for a while completely. Same thing with dairy and most of all the sugars. And that's for a specific reason. Gluten, the proteins are very similar. The structure is very similar to your own healthy cells in your body, certain proteins in your body. So it can mimic your own proteins in your healthy cells, and then your immune system reacts to it. So I agree with removing all three items to allow your gut to heal. But keep in mind that this is not the end all be all. Okay. So you want to make sure that you are starting to include as many nutrients as possible in a safe way. Okay. So that is always the thing. What I teach my clients is that when you are reacting to a food, it's not the food's fault. It's your digestive system, your absorption. So how can we change that? Like, how can we make the food, alter the food in such a way that it is easier and less inflammatory for your digestive tract? So I will share with you a few powerful strategies that I have adopted from one of the leading experts in therapeutic nutrition, and his name is Dr. William Li. He is an amazing person. He also wrote a really good book that you can look up. I'm gonna post it here in the group as well. And so he created a method that is called 5x5x5. Okay, so I have kind of like adopted this method, and I call my method 3x3x3 method. And I'm going to be explaining that in a minute. Let me explain that now. So let me explain the 3x3x3 method, because that is also going to be part of your homework. Okay. So the way it works, I have put in the 3x3x3 method into the workbook. So there is 3 different columns of food. So fruit and vegetables, there's proteins and fats, and then minerals, nuts and seeds. And then there is also, so I have listed breakfast, lunch, and dinner. What is a really good method of starting to increase diversity and nutrient density into your diet is by choosing 3 foods of each column 3 times a day. Okay, so for example, for breakfast, you are choosing 3 vegetables or 3 fruit, or a combination of 2 vegetables and 1 fruit. And then you're adding a protein or 2 to 3 proteins and fats to it. Then you're adding spices and herbs. So when you do that every single time with every single meal, you are starting to eat a lot more, right? And the thing is that a lot of women that I work with actually say, oh my goodness, I don't know, this is going to be too much food, but it's not. You will see that once you're starting to increase nutrient density and the nutrient amounts in your diet, you will see that your body is starting to love you for it, because it's starting to get the nutrients that it needs. Okay, So that is the 3 by 3 by 3 method. And one of the homework pieces is to fill that out and post under the homework thread. I want to give you a few tips that you can jot down on how to improve your digestion and absorption besides the 3 by 3 by 3 method. So number one, I want you to eat less raw foods. Okay. Especially if you're somebody who has a lot of digestive issues, gas, bloating, and such, raw foods are very difficult to digest. They need a good functioning digestive juices, digestive enzymes, a very sturdy digestive tract. So eat less of them. Okay. In the beginning, I had to steam everything, steam, broil, cook vegetables, and also fruit, right? So eat as little raw veggies and fruits as you can to just help your digestive system to move along. Okay, that'll also change the structure of the food. It makes it more digestible. And for the legumes, by the way, if you start to sprout the legumes and things like that, you're actually reducing the lectin component of the legume, which can be a huge inflammatory trigger for us with an unbalanced gut. So if you start to ferment your foods or start to sprout your foods, you will notice that you'll be able to actually start eating beans and legumes without the gas, without the bloating. So give that a try as well. The other tip I was going to share with you is you can start to take some digestive enzymes with every meal, right? To really further help your body to digest the food. Because I can tell you that in the beginning, your pancreas is probably not working optimally in order to spew out all of the enzymes that it needs, because everything is under stress if you are experiencing digestive issues, right? So to summarize what you're really blending, yes, Rachel says, what if you blend it? 100%. You can blend them. The blending portion is almost like it's almost like a pre-digestion that you are allowing the food to go through. Yeah, so blending and smoothies and soups and all of these things can really help. Very good question. So what you're doing with these three things is with a 3 by 3 by 3 method and the other two tips I gave you is you are basically diversifying your nutrient density. You are increasing your nutrient density to help support your immune system along your gut lining and to really nourish your microbiome, right? Which is your second immune system in your gut. And it's so important. Yeah. But the problem is you have digestive issues. If you have digestive issues, you are not digesting your food well. So you need some help to pre-digest your food for you, right? So that absorption is made easier with the help of preparing foods in a way that I just described. So Kayla says, I usually eat a salad every day. How long should I try not to eat raw food? As long as you need to, as long as you will notice the difference in your body, right? So I'll say you can eat raw foods with digestive enzymes, but minimize it, right? And so go for cooked vegetables and fruit most of the time, and then see how your bloating is developing. Like, how is it calming down? Is it helping? Is it changing? It should, right? And so then that means that your digestive function is starting to become stronger. It's starting to replenish. It's starting to become more robust. And so then you can start to slowly introduce the raw foods back into it. And then you can really fine tune it by seeing how how are your digestive symptoms developing, right? Are they coming back, or are they becoming better? Can you digest more raw foods now, and so on and so forth. Again, like if you have any specific questions like that, I really, really highly recommend to put in the 30-minute call. That can be so helpful. We can talk these things through on our call, no problem. Okay, so you're actually increasing digestive function, you're bringing in more nutrients, you're decreasing systemic inflammation. So all the good things just by doing these three simple things. Does that make sense? Let me know in the comments if that is something that you can do, that you can actually put into place and start doing in order to get your gut health back on track slowly. I hope it is. Because this will be also part of your homework, right? So to summarize your day one homework, I want you to start jotting down the 3x3x3 method. You can utilize the workbook sheet that I gave to you guys. You can follow it over the course of the 3 days, starting today or tomorrow. And you can also add a digestive enzyme, right? And then you can follow the food preparation that I suggested. And if you want to do a bonus point, you can make some of the yummy recipes that I shared with you. And you can also post that in the group for engagement. That'll be very fun for everybody to see, right? So, okay. So I think I have come to the end of my day one. I hope that today you have learned a lot, okay? So I would like to know from you guys, how are you feeling? Like, do you feel overwhelmed? Do you feel a little bit confused? Or do you feel excited? Or do you feel excited to get started? And do you have maybe a little bit more clarity around the gut health and the Hashimoto's inflammation connection? Let me know. I would love to hear. So, but before I let you go, I really encourage everyone to do the homework for the engagement price. Okay. I do offer a $50 Whole Foods card for the most engaged person. I also encourage everybody to book in a 30-minute consultation with me to go through specific questions where we can really run through your issues with your gut health, and for you to get a second set of eyes on what's keeping you stuck specifically. That can be so helpful. And honestly, that alone is worth so much more than any other appointment that you might have had with any other practitioner in the past 6 months. I can tell you that much. You will walk away with a lot of good information and help for sure. If you still need the workbook, comment workbook. If you want the recipe and the meal plans, please comment meal plan, and Janelle will be able to send it out to you guys. Today, I want you all to leave here with a sense of, with a renewed sense of understanding, hope, motivation, and some simple action steps that you can take that will start to lay the foundation of your gut health that will help to catapult you up to the next level. It starts with little small steps. Everything that we do starts with little small steps, and that's where it builds. And that's where it always builds. And then you will get to the point where you want to be, fatigue-free, no more joint pain, no more brain fog, feeling like your normal self again. Tomorrow, we will talk about the second puzzle piece, which is detoxification pathways. We touched on that today with the bowel movements. We'll be going more into details tomorrow. I can't wait for that. And I can't wait to see what you guys are doing in the homework section. Okay, so everyone, thank you so much for your time today. And I will see you again tomorrow. Have a great night, everybody.